it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to another Battle Royale. Round 2, tie 6. I'm nearly coming to the end of round 2. So we've got another quarter-final place up for grabs. And today we have got Genesis's Foxtrot against Who's Next. Now, Genesis was put forward by ricefieldrecords, or known to us affectionately as Michael. Now, Michael is a makes regular appearances on the live stream on Thursdays, showing his wonderful collection of records. And Mick is a very loyal and one of my very first subscribers. He makes contributions in the Obscuring Gallery, and he also comments and comes up with ideas for videos. So it's two people two of my loyal supporters, and it's hard when you got your loyal supporters going up against each other. Anyway, first up today is this one. It is Genesis Foxtrot. This was released 15th of September 1972 on the Charisma Records. Now, who designed this? Well, it's Paul Whitehead. Now, on here we've got little scenes from lots of suppers ready, which we'll go into a bit later. But of course it's got the famous fox head lady in a red dress. And if we open it out, we have horseman, huntsman, and we have this modern day building stuck in the corner. So what about Mr. Whitehead? Well, Mr. Whitehead is a British painter and graphic artist known for his surrealistic album covers and did for Charisma Records label in the 1970s. He worked with other bands, which we'll come on to a bit later. At an art show in London in the mid-60s led to Whitehead being picked up as an in-house artist for London office of jazz record label Liberty Records. Previously he'd been studying at the University of Oxford as an art scholarship. The first record he designed was a repackage for a Fats Domino album, which followed a series of work for other reissues for UK market. And in 1968 Whitehead became the original art director for no less the Time Out in London magazine, which actually led to further commissions of album covers. So, let's go back to this one. Okay, this was the last of 3 album covers that Paul worked on for Genesis, following Trespass and Nursery Crime. And he gained inspiration for this cover from the lyrics to The Wonderful Supper's Ready, and which alludes to the couplets of the Four Horsemen. And Paul wanted to, in an original way, turn something into a little bit more whimsical. Now, 2 of the horse riders, if you look closely, and I'll put a little arrow, first we have got a monkey, there's the monkey, and then we've got an alien. Now let's just quickly diverse back to Nursery Crime, the previous album. Now the cover for this depicted a croquet which represented the English upper class, which Paul repeated on Foxtrot with a depiction of fox hunting. Okay, the croquet scene is also repeated and placed in the background, which has the Victorian manor house now replaced by a hole in the ground. Whitehead devised the album's title, which he had done for Trespass and Nursery, and on Nursery Crime he recalled the group was stuck for ideas, and then he heard the word foxy, an American slang for an attractive woman, during a visit to the United States. And Foxy Lady by Jimi Hendrix was a big inspiration, and that's where you get the foxy head on the illustration. The thing is, There's a little bit of story of that. The original illustration for these albums were stolen at the Charisma archives, and then it was sold to Virgin Records. Whitehead claimed that the Charisma staff got wind of the sale and proceeded to loot its office. Now, what did the band think? Peter Gabriel disliked the cover and felt less pleased with the design than his other work. Hackett felt unsure about the cover, but when he saw it for the first time, calling it strange design, that made more sense to him over the time. Banks thought it was the weakest of Whitehead's covers. Rutherford felt the design was a decline in quality following the lovely atmosphere of Treppers Nursery, and saying the Foxtrot cover was a little bit weak. Phil Collins, though, said it was not particularly special but lacked professionalism. Now, I like this cover, and I think it's the most bizarre of the three. It's very iconic. You know who it is straight away. It's got the iconic Genesis logo of the 70s. He also did supply the logo to the live album, but he didn't do anything else on it. So, who else has Paul worked with? Well, he worked with Genesis stablemates at Charisma, Van der Graaf Generator. And in 1970 he did the H to He album. And in 1971 he did Porn Hearts. Very different to what he did with Genesis. Also, Peter Hamill, he worked with Peter Hamill on his solo stuff. In the 1971 he did Fool's Mate, and in 73 it was Chameleon in the Shadow of the Night, which I think is a fabulous cover. But back in 1971 he also worked in Renaissance and created this cover, Illusion. I think his artwork is iconic, and I love all the three Genesis album covers the same. But this one really does stand out, and I think it's all to do with the Foxy Lady. So, good luck, Michael, and I'm sure you'll be up tonight promoting Foxtrot again. And I'm sure you'll have some views on the art. Okay, who's against? There's a clue there, isn't there? It's Mick's Who's Next from The Who, which was the 5th album from The Who. And this album, of course, came out of the aborted Lifehouse project, which was a follow-up to Tommy, was cancelled due to its complexity and conflicts with the band's manager at the time, Kit Lambert. But they managed to salvage some of the songs without connecting story elements to release this album. 8 of the 9 songs are actually on this album, which is pretty amazing. So let's have a look at this cover. Interesting cover, isn't it? Yeah. There's more to that than meets the eye. We'll go into the details very shortly. And if you flick it over, we've got them in backstage in a cluttered thing, which we'll go into, and it tells you what's on the album. So who took all these pictures? Well, the person that's responsible for these pictures is American photographer Ethan Allen Russell, born in 1945 in Mount Kisco, New York. He's an author and a video director, mostly of musicians. He is known for the only rock and roll photographer to have shot album covers for the Beatles, The Who, and the Rolling Stones. Now, he was hired as the photographer for the Rolling Stones American tour of 1969 and was part of that band's entourage. Joe Slovin observed that Russell joined the touring party of 16 for the Stones tour, which ended in the disastrous free concert at Allotment Speedway. Yes. His photography was used to illustrate the cover of Get Your Ya-Ya's Out, the Rolling Stones in concert recording during that 69 tour. This led to doing some work with the Beatles and Let It Be. Now, Ethan met the Beatles in early 1969 and we got to meet them because of the photographs he took of this with Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones production of Rock and Roll Circus, which interested Beatles. And Neil Aspinall invited Russell to the Twickenham studios where the group were making Let It Be. Some of the photographs ended up on this cover, of course, and the gatefold of the LP, and it was the last Beatles release. Russell's photographs show the four men trying to rescue their fading musical marriage. It's also the one final photo of the sessions in 1969 was held at Titterhurst Park, the home owned by John and Yoko, and later Ringo Starr. Two of these photos were used on the Hey Jude album, and other photographs were used on other projects. Going back to the one that we're talking about, working with The Who, Russell did the photography for the album and the photography for the book accompanying Quadrophenia in 1973. However, Russell did not shoot the cover of Quadrophenia. This was shot by Graham Hughes. Pete Townshend's opinion of Russell's photographs was they look ready to put up on the National Gallery. So going back to this one now, it looks like all four of them have had a wee at the pillar, which was taken at a slag heap on 4th of July 1971 on their way between Sheffield and Leicester. The only one that caught short was Pete. They come up with the idea was John and Keith discussing Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. So to make sure it looked like they've all done it, they got some water and poured it around the thing. John Kosh added the background, and then the rear cover was taken at the Leicester de Montfort. Now in 2003, VH1 named the cover of this one of the greatest covers of all time. I would fall short of that. I don't know what Stevie thinks about that. I will ask him. I don't think it is. I think Quadrophenia is a better cover. But I do like this. There was other suggestions for this, included the group urinating against a Marshall stack and an overweight nude woman with the Who's faces placed near some naughty bits. Another cover that came up was Keith Moon dressed in black lingerie and a big brown wig holding a whip. I'm sure he really wanted to do that, did old Mooney, but he didn't. But that was actually used inside of art for the 1995 and 2003 CD releases of the album. Some of the photographs also taken on these sessions were used part of the Decca's United States promotion. So let's bring on both up again. Two very iconic covers. We've been so lucky with this second round that most of these covers are pretty iconic for all different reasons. We've got the wonderful Mad World of Paul Whitehead on Foxtrot, and we've got the photography and the creativeness of The Who coming up with these great ideas. Ethan Allen, he worked with three of the greatest bands of the 60s. The Stones, The Who and the Beatles. Incredible photographer, and his work, he's as Pete Townsend said, his pictures you could end up in the National Gallery. So good luck, Mick, and good luck to you, Michael, as well. This is going to be an absolute corker. We're getting into some real tough ones now. So, and it doesn't even, next week it gets tough as well. We've got a proper prog battle for you next week. We've got Yeses Close to the Edge up against Remember the Future from Nectar. So it's getting really down to the nitty gritty now. Okay, how do you vote? Well, of course, from 2 p.m. today, the poll will be in the community page of the channel, and then from 8 p.m. tonight there will be a poll on the live stream. Closing for the poll is Wednesday midnight next week, and of course Dave will announce the winner next Thursday on the live stream. So that's all for this one. I'll be back very shortly after a quick cup of tea. I will be back to do Pick a Mix, and it's a wander down the sidewalk, and we're going to look at the top 10 singles in America on this day in 1976. Bye for now.